Hey guys, welcome to today's Paint with Me. I am so excited to have you here. I just wanted to say before we get started, get yourself some snacks. I'm lucky enough to have some Girl Scout cookies and watermelon, as well as a nice cup of tea. Make sure that you have either a drink and snacks to help you keep strong while you begin to paint or create. I also wanted to let you know that on Monday I said I would be using both watercolor and colored pencils for my project, so here are all the supplies I used for today. Hi everybody! So I just wanted to give you a recap of week one. During my week one sketch with me, I made a portrait of myself as Miss Hopi. Later on in the same week, I did a sketch of myself as Aeon. And so for my self-reflection piece, I really have this idea and goal of putting these two images together just to represent who I am as a person. And for today's topic of choosing your medium, I wanted to share one of the things that I am good at. So the last Mindful Monday question this week was write down one thing that you are good at. And before I found art as an outlet for my emotions and feelings, I used to write poems. And I used to write poems during my teenage years, tween teen years. So some of it can be pretty cringy, but I don't think that when you're a teen, I think your emotions are so strong. If you can put those emotions into something creative, you do come out with some really good gems. So as I was looking for my sketchbook for this week, I ended up finding one of my old poetry books, and I thought that I would read you a few poems and explain them to you, because now that I'm rereading them as I'm older, I can remember the feelings and the reasons why I wrote some of these. So I will read you a poem and then I will explain it to you, and hopefully you can find some sort of wisdom or advice, or if you can relate to any of these feelings, I will share them with you. And I just wanted to preface this by saying some of these poems were written in moments of sadness or anger, and I wanted to share them with you because I think that for myself, in like my Instagram and my social medias, you really only see the happy moments, and in order for me to show you all and share with you all who I am as a person, that even means sharing with you some of the not so happy moments and sharing with you some of the different emotions that I feel as a human being. So I really hope that you enjoy what I'm about to read to you. If this is something that you like, then let me know, and I will maybe share more poems in the future. But the first one that I will read is unentitled. I wrote this, I want to say, during my senior year of high school, and I will explain its meaning once I am done reading. I waited for the sun to greet me, and he never came. So I sat on a mountain, waiting again and again. The moon came near and asked, "Who are you waiting for?" I replied, "The sun. He is coming. I know he is." She laughed and laughed. "Ha ha! He is not coming. I wait for him too, night after night." So we waited together as the clock ticked on. Tick-tock, round and round, danced the moon. I waited in darkness. He is coming soon, I thought on. The stars came to give me light. They brought shattered pieces of hope. So I reached for the stars like you told me to do. Nothing happened. The sun did not come, and I sat there waiting. I did not know the directions, and maybe I got lost. Does the sun wait for me? I wondered. But the sun waits for no one, not even the earth. So I sat there and waited. Clouds passed, the moon said hello, the stars began singing, and the earth turned slow. I decided to stop waiting, and they gasped. He is here. But I was tired of waiting, so I wandered another year. Aeon Winter. I I remember writing this poem, like I said, it was about 2013 or 2014. And this was around the time when I felt a lot of pressure on myself, because this was around the time when we were supposed to be applying to colleges, and you were getting a few acceptance letters here and there. And my father has always been the biggest supporter of my education, and his plan for me was always to finish high school and move on to college. My other family members also had that same plan in mind, but my dad was the one who really iterated that plan in my head all throughout my elementary through high school years. And I was frustrated because, when you're a child, or when you're living with your parents, they have this plan for you. And I am someone who follows rules. I really enjoy having rules. I enjoy just knowing, I guess, the boundaries of what is good and bad. And I was always raised with this plan, and we were coming to the end of the plan. And now that I was going to be going on to college, I felt like I was being thrown to the wolves, because all my life I was told what to do, where to be, how to act. I was either I just had a plan all the time. And this feeling of uncertainty, it frustrated me, because I was like, my whole life, my parents are the ones guiding me, and they put this plan into my head, and now they want me to choose what I want for myself in the future. Like, I am still 17. How am I supposed to choose what I want to do for the rest of my life? And if anyone asked me, I would have said I do not want to go to college. In high school, I didn't want to go to college, but I knew it was part of the plan, so I knew I was going. And I don't regret my college experience at all. I think that we all have different paths, and whatever and wherever your path takes you, don't let the fear of uncertainty keep you from going and working toward your dreams. And there's a line in here where where I say, so I reached for the stars like you told me to do. Nothing happened. I remember putting this line in here because, like I said, at the moment that I wrote this poem, I think I had just got into a disagreement with my dad. And growing up, I lived in Phoenix, and my dad used to take me to the park and the playground at night, because in Phoenix, during the day it's just too hot. The temperatures were very high, and so my dad and I would go to the playground right at sunset, and we would be there like well into the night. And my dad used to push me on the swing all of the time. And when he would push me, because it's nighttime, most nights you could see the stars. And when he would push me, he would tell me to reach. He would say, reach, Aeon, reach. Grab all the stars that you can, and put them in your pocket. And I used to always wear overalls, so I had a front pocket, and he used to tell me to keep the stars in there. And in writing that line and then saying nothing happened, I remember that was me trying to tell my dad that he had put all of this hope into me and all of this work into me getting to where I was, and now nothing is happening because I didn't know what I wanted to do, and I felt all of this pressure because he was asking me every day where I was thinking about going to school, and different people were asking me where I was applying to and where I was going, and I didn't want to go, and I didn't know how to say that. And also during this time when my dad would tell me to reach for the stars, I remember that we would always be driving home and he would tell me, you've got all the stars. And he used to ask me that. He said, do you have the stars in your pocket? And I used to say yes. And he said, good. And then he would tell me that he wanted me to be somebody, that his only dream for me was to be somebody. And I don't know why I had this notion in my head for so long, but I always thought in order to be somebody, I had to be a doctor or a lawyer, or I had to be the president. And so when I was little, I told myself, because my dad wants me to be somebody, I'm going to be the first Native American female president. And that was my goal, and I was working toward that goal. I want to say well into my middle school years, I wanted to be the first Native American female president. And because I wanted that job, I told myself that I had to live without faults, which brings me back into being a rule follower and trying my very best at everything and joining all of the clubs, because if I were ever to run for president, I wanted to be able to tell the people, look at my entire academic career, I have always been somebody who is willing to work hard for what I want. And I always wanted to be like a president or a presidential candidate and be able to say, like, there are no black marks on my record. But as you grow up, you really begin to see that. And then just as being human, the idea of having to be perfect all the time is tiring. And for me as a human being, it was just unattainable, and I put a lot of pressure on myself. Even if I got like a C on a test, or if I didn't get a good grade on something, to me it was the end of the world. And to me it was like, there goes my presidential career, and I'm never going to be president like this. And that was the kind of pressure that I used to put on myself. And finally, during my senior year, I came to realize that I'm only human and I can only do so much. But that doesn't mean that I'm not going to do anything. Like, I still put my effort and my heart into everything that I do. But I was coming to this realization that I didn't really know what I wanted to do. And I remember during an argument with my dad, I told him, I can't do it. I said, I've reached for all the stars. You've given me all these pieces of hope that I could be somebody big and that I could be sitting in the White House one day, and look, I don't think I'm going to make it that far. And I told him, I'm sorry, but I can't be somebody for you. I can't be, a lawyer or a doctor. And I remember he said, Aeon, when I told you to be somebody, I didn't mean a lawyer or doctor. What I meant was, you need to be somebody with integrity, somebody who puts effort and who has heart behind everything that they do, and somebody who can stand by their values and be true to themselves. And he said, by being true to yourself, that's the only way that you are going to be able to stand strong as a person. And that's true. And now I realize that to be somebody is, it doesn't have to do with academic success or your professional salaries and income. It has to do with you, and it has to do with how you contribute to the world and make an effort towards hopefully making the world a better place, and that's where it starts. And I think I was finally coming into this realization that my future was up to me. And I had lived my life for so long trying to be somebody who pleases the people around me, who fits this image of how people see me, that it became too much for me. And I finally realized that the only person I'm really living for is me. And at the end of the day, as long as I am making myself proud, that's what matters. And as long as I'm following the dreams that I have, I'm going to have a good life. And I wrote this poem as a final frustration, and like I just had to get my feelings out on paper. And I really like this poem, because it had to do with space and so much other things. And there are these little messages that I put in here, and I remember writing that line specifically so I could read it one day, which I guess today is that day, and I could hopefully tell my dad, look at all you did and nothing happened. But I am proud to say that I reached for the stars like you told me to do. And look where I am now. I am incredibly proud of the growth that has occurred from 2013 to now. I am a totally different person, still Aeon. I've just grown more and I guess matured more from when I wrote this poem. So it's always good to look back on some of the things that you've written, and I remember the feelings that I felt when I wrote this one in particular. So I hope that you enjoyed that one. I think we will read one more, and that should carry us through the rest of this Create With Me. Okay, and this next poem, I guess I'll end with this one, so I'm just gonna explain it to you a little bit before. I remember writing this poem on my aunt's couch the morning after I spent an entire night crying. I remember I had just lost someone very near and dear to me, and I want to say, we were a week into that person's passing, and I felt like the days were never going to get better, that I was going to be stuck in a dark place. I was going to be stuck in sadness forever, and I didn't see a silver lining. I didn't see any happiness coming my way anytime near. And I was also crying, but I like to cry, I guess, in secret. And I remember the night before I wrote this, I was crying into my pillow, and I heard one of my moms coming down the hallway, and I remember I stopped crying and I pretended to be asleep. And I'm pretty sure she probably heard me. All moms know. And I was pretending to be asleep, and she came into the room, and it was starting to get cold because this was a little bit during a colder season. And all she did was she took a blanket, an extra blanket, and she covered me with it, and she tucked me in, I guess. And yeah, after that, I remember feeling like, okay, if I'm gonna be stuck in this sadness, I might as well start figuring out things that bring me some comfort or bring me a little piece of joy. If the rest of my life is going to be filled with sadness, I might as well start counting all of the little things and the little ways that I can find comfort and happiness. And so I just started writing this poem about things that make me feel better. and things that people have me do and things that I see people do when they're happy. And all of these things just make me feel a little bit more at ease. And I am still adding to this poem every time I think of something, or if I have an experience, a shared experience with someone, I add it to the poem. So if you are not in this poem at this very moment, just know that it is going to be something that I continue adding to for the rest of my life. And hopefully, you can relate to it in some way. This poem is also untitled, but I'm sure there will be a reoccurring theme and the title will come to me soon. I know what love is. It is my shashi mom covering me with blankets in the morning cold. It is my wee wee mom making sure I do every step of my face routine. I know what love is. It is my Moda Gea saying yes to every request. It is my Georgie Gea making sure feet are never on the bed so you always have a clean place to sleep. It is my Mona Gea driving to and from the Grand Canyon just to be present. It is my Elsie Gea calling me Aeonskis when I get nervous. I know what love is. It is my Norman Tata singing before we wake. It is my Gail Tata giving me a sly smile when I've done a good job. I know what love is. It is my Harold Taha's tiny eyes when he smiles because he's so proud. It is my Eli Taha giving me a bookmark to make sure I never lose my place. It is my Danny Taha interrogating me, teaching me truth. It is my Harlan Taha telling jokes at the dinner table. It is my Mark Taha's conversations asking if I'm still in school year after year. It is my Darren Taha's strength to never quit. Love is in the hands of my so'os. Love is the fighting spirit of my kwa'as. It is my little brother's encouragements and my little sister's patience. Love is my parents and all their sacrifices. I know what love is. And the last time I added to this poem was January 19th, which is not too long ago, actually. So, like I said, that's just a continuing poem that I add to whenever I feel love. And whenever I feel love, not in the way like of romance, but when I feel love from my family. And I think it's very true when they say your family is always going to be there for you. And I think that it has taken me a long time to recognize that. But whenever I feel down or I feel like the sad days are going to keep going on forever and ever, I read this poem just to remind myself that there are people who love me, and it's the little things that they do that show me that love. It doesn't have to be a big act or a big it doesn't come in gifts. It can be something as small as, I know my wee wee mom, whenever I visit her, I have to do my whole face routine, as far as washing my face, putting on moisturizer, the whole routine. And she does that because she cares. And a lot of these things that I wrote are things that people do because they care. And we have to be able to care for one another. And hopefully, if you can, use the same format to make a poem for yourself, so that way when you have those moments of uncertainty or uncomfortable feelings, you can look back on this poem. I do keep it in my notes on my phone, because I never know when I'm going to have anxiety or if I'm going to get nervous about something. And I know that it's always in my phone and I can always read it whenever it is needed. And we'll end with one last poem. I wrote this poem during Native American Heritage Month when I was speaking to some students. I spoke to a lot of different classes at First Mesa Elementary School, so thank you guys for inviting me, and I will read you this poem once again. It's a very short one, but it was sort of what I was feeling in the moment and what I wanted to share with some of the students that asked me to join their classrooms. And this one is entitled, What is a Hopi? A Hopi is you and me, something you will always be. No matter where you go or who you know, being Hopi will always show. Being Hopi is walking tall with respect for all, working hard every day, being good in every way. Creating purpose, creating heart, being Hopi is happy in mind and heart. And with that, whether you are Hopi or not, being human is creating purpose and creating heart. Being human is being happy in mind and heart. So I hope that you all can take this time to really reflect on how your pieces are coming along. Once again, I cannot wait to see all of the beautiful creations that will be coming at the end of March. Next week, we will be working on final touches, and then the week after, we will be working on artist statements and telling our stories. So do not worry, you have time. If you want to jump in, you can definitely jump in now. It's not too late as long as you have an art piece complete by the end of March. I hope you all have a wonderful rest of the week. Definitely be kind to yourselves, be kind to others, and happy creating. Until next Monday, we'll see ya. Bye.